now we want to continue to update you here on the Delphi murders trial that started this week. Back in 2017, two young teenage girls were brutally murdered, and now the suspect in that case is being tried for double murder. We want to go out to Fox News' Garrett Tenney with the latest. Let's listen in.
There have been a lot of twists and turns in this case over the past 7.5 years, and that is continuing as this trial gets underway. Prosecutors say this case is about three things. First, the brutal murder of two young girls, Abby Williams and Libby German. Second, the man Abby took video of on her phone before she disappeared, known as the Bridge Guy. And third, an unspent bullet casing found at the scene between the girls' bodies that allegedly matched a gun owned by Richard Allen. The 52-year-old's defense argues he is truly innocent and that there is plenty of reasonable doubt in the case against him. This week, the defense revealed that a strand of hair found around Abby Williams' finger didn't belong to either of the girls and did not match Richard Allen's DNA. Today, his team suggested there's also evidence showing that while Allen was on the Monon High Bridge trail the afternoon the girls went missing in February 2017, he had already left by the time Abby and Libby got there. One big turn in the case this morning, even before the jury arrived, Judge Francis Gohl ruled the defense will not be allowed to show the two vastly different composite sketches police released of a suspect in 2017 and then in 2019, which the defense argued are relevant because neither sketch resembles Richard Allen. This trial is scheduled to run Monday through Saturday over the next 4 weeks. No cameras or electronics are allowed in the courtroom. And if the jury finds Richard Allen guilty, he faces up to 130 years in prison. In Delphi, Indiana, I'm Garrett Tenney, Fox 32, Chicago.
All right. We always appreciate those updates from Garrett Tenney as the trial continues on even today. You heard there Monday through Saturday. They will be continuing that one. But we want to continue to talk about this case here, highly in demand. I want to bring in our next guest. This is criminal defense attorney Randy Zellin. Randy, thanks so much for joining us on Live Now from Fox. We appreciate it.
Appreciate being on.
All right, Randy. So this is a case where it shocked so many in the country back in 2017. And then, unfortunately, there was just crickets in the case, and we did not get a suspect arrested until 2022. And I think one of the key things that a lot of people are going to be talking about in this case is that prosecutors have talked about in the past that the defendant had jailhouse confession to his wife there on a phone call. How does a defense attorney kind of back away from that?
Well, there has been a fair amount of studies done on what we call false confessions. And a false confession has been demonstrated to be the product of something as simple as, I just want to go home. And people tend to say really crazy things when they either believe that they can go home or they become so filled with hopelessness that they would literally say anything just to go home. So I would imagine among the 120 some odd witnesses that the defense plans on calling somewhere, there will be a conversation about this confession truly having been false, having been fictitious, and a product of just pure hopelessness.
And Randy, also let's talk about the time from when these murders happened to when he was arrested here. Does that timeline, as far as the years that went on, does that help him in any case here as that investigation was going on?
Absolutely. Keep in mind the definition of reasonable doubt, which is simply the jury needing more information. A 5-year lapse in time between the date of these horrific acts and this defendant's this defendant's arrest, in and of itself is reasonable doubt. What went on for 5 years? What took the police so long? Maybe there is someone else who's done it, and the defense will be presenting proof. One instance of this ritualistic, paganistic act, these murders where the judge preliminarily said, nope, you can't do that. But apparently the judge is going to leave open the possibility for the judge's decision that her mind to be changed. In addition, apparently, there's going to be some proof of a cell phone conversation involving someone who was previously convicted of as a sex offender who subsequently passed away. That surely will build in some reasonable doubt as to whether or not we have the right person. And also keep in mind the defense is going to be harping on, oh, you think you have the right guy? Here is a guy who hid, if you will, in plain sight, who remained a member of the community for those 5 years. Why in God's name would someone who committed these acts stick around for 5 years? So I do think that the passage of time, the fact that there is at least one other person who perhaps should have been more seriously considered as a suspect, coupled with this man remaining in the community, serving the community as a pharmacist, you got some built-in reasonable doubt there.
And let's talk a little bit about the other evidence that prosecutors have been talking about, this unused bullet that was found in between the two girls. And they are linking that here to this suspect that was found inside of his home. How will defense attorneys try to talk that one out?
I think it will range anywhere from deflect and distract the jury's attention and have them focusing in on sloppy police work. Apparently, there was a battle, as we see oftentimes, between and amongst agencies, who should be running the show, who should be taking credit, who should be handling the investigation. So I think from somewhat of a helicopter view, the defense will try to divert the jury's attention away from that bullet and focus the jury's attention in on sloppy police paperwork, the fact the defendant remained in the community, the fact that we don't have a murder weapon, we don't have a motive, and even though motive is not an element to be proven by the prosecution, it sure is nice when someone can present a motive, and here there does not appear to be a clear motive, and almost as if the prosecution's going to argue that here is someone who woke up in the morning, decided, I think I'll kill some people today. Took a gun, took knives, went to the park, apparently looking for some random victims, and here you go. We have victims. Wow, that's a tough motive, and there isn't a clear motive. But I think the defense, and I'm now going to speculate, there's going to be a question, at least in my mind, whether or not the police can actually link this bullet to that gun. I know that there is scientific evidence where a discharged gun and the creation of what we call lands and grooves, where you can actually match up a gun to a casing. The question will become whether or not, by what we call cycling, in other words, the bullet wasn't fired, so we don't have the creation of lands and grooves. The bullet was discharged whole, so you have the bullet and the casing was found on the ground. Whether or not there is sufficient forensic evidence and technology available to link that bullet to that gun and no other gun.
That's so interesting. And lastly, Randy, I want to talk about this audio file where there's a brief audio that was recorded from the scene, allegedly, where there is a man on there saying down the hill, and prosecutors are saying that the suspect led these two girls down a hill, and that's when they were murdered by the creek there. What kind of testing and what kind of experts will be on the witness stand there to talk about this analysis of a voice recording and trying to pin it on a certain person?
Well, one thing I can say for sure is there's one piece of evidence that has been left out of this trial, a piece of evidence that the judge has refused to permit the defense to offer. And those are sketches of the supposed person responsible for these murders. And that person does not resemble the defendant. So what did I just do for your audience? Well, number one, I tried at least to divert the listeners and the viewers' attention away from this audio file and try to focus the attention on sketches. That's also going to be, in my mind, a very clear appellate argument if, in fact, he is convicted. But as far as the audio file goes, it will be interesting to see whether or not the prosecution is going to try to offer up expert testimony to the extent that you have an audio recording, you have a voice, and to the extent that they have gotten an order calling for the defendant to have said something similar, and whether or not that's going to create a Fifth Amendment issue in terms of a right to silence, a Sixth Amendment issue. That will be another, I think, very viable grounds for appeal if, in fact, the defendant is ordered to create a similar, what we call a voice exemplar. But this is going to be a very, very difficult case, I think, for both sides. And it may very well come down to, and it's not an appropriate basis, but it may come down to this community's thirst, this jury's thirst for justice for these two kids.
Yeah, that's so true. A very complex case, a lot of years in the making to build up for this trial. Randy Zalin, thanks so much for joining us. Always great to speak with you and get some insight from you. We always appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. All right, and we will be back with more coming up on Live Now from Fox in 2 minutes.